Okay, and we're back for episode 2 of the Walthers Modern Diesel House build. The painting is done, and I'm actually pretty excited on how it turned out. So I ended up going to, I think, Home Depot, and I got this fluorescent, and it turned out pretty awesome. I did have to spray it with white first. So as you can see here, it's V-pigmented. So let's just quickly expose what the platform itself is going to look like, the base. And it's looking good. It's looking very good. So I won't bore you with peeling off all the tape, but yeah, I think this turned out well. Okay, so all the tape's off, and it turned out pretty good. It's very bright. So definitely need some weathering to tone it down. The coverage wasn't perfect, but I actually think that'll add to the weathering look, especially in the corners and on the stairs and things like that, where dirt and grease and oil would naturally accumulate. So I think the next step is going to be to start assembling these platforms and think about how the wiring is going to work underneath. And there may be a little bit of touch up. It looks like when I was doing my first attempt at airbrushing, there's some overspray, but I don't know if honestly you would be able to tell inside the building once the platforms are on. It might just not be worth it. So up next will be the removing of all the parts from the spurs. Okay, so all these pieces are out, and that was painful. Literally painful. And the idea of having to clean up the little pieces on this are not exciting to me. So I'm not going to make you watch that, and I will take care of all this, and we'll be back to put together some platforms. Hopefully that'll be slightly more exciting. Okay, so all that stuff is cleaned up, and I had to give them another coat of spray because all the little places where I cleaned up the tabs. So I used painter's tape to stick it all down. I found that was the easiest way to take care of it all. So that is the little track stubs, and hopefully we can finally start moving on to building. Okay. So I couldn't leave well enough alone and had to touch up the gray to try to get rid of some of the overspray. So it's better. One thing I wanted to talk about is planning some of the automation and lighting that I want to do in this building. So that's obviously not standard with the kit, and I have to plan where my wires and things are going to come up through. So this is the front of the building. It's taller here. So there's a platform here and a platform here. So I was thinking about drilling holes under these little lips here for the wirings for this. I will have to figure out where to do it, probably just along the edge, maybe behind this post for the lighting that is going to run on the outer platforms. The track wiring will have to come up, I was also thinking, between this first track stand and here, and that would allow me to solder it on and try to hide the wires, and do that here, here, here. And then there's plenty of room here to tie down or glue the wiring. The other thing that I want to do, which will have to happen in a later episode, is I want to automate the doors with servos run by a little microcontroller, and that'll also control the lighting. And I'm probably going to put a little welder guy in here, and I already wrote a circuit to do like a simulated welding light, and probably a little sound along with that, so the whole thing can be automated. So yeah, that's what I want to do, and that's how I've planned out where everything's going to go. I haven't drilled any holes yet, but I should be safe. Little tip, since there's so many little parts, I recommend keeping them in a plastic bag. If you have kids or pets, obnoxious little kittens, just in case you don't finish your project, they don't go all over the place. So I'm going to try to do one of these platforms right now, and there's 22 beams that hold it up. I've already sort of counted them out, and the instructions say that the little square holes should help keep them upright. However, I found that it's hard to tell if it really fits in at all. So what I did on all of these was I took my file and I cleaned it up a little bit more, and then there's just this little lip on it that I never really bothered to clean off, but I just take and sort of clean off this last little bit, and they fit. So and I've already cleaned up the little tabs because the way I cut them, they were almost too long for the hole that was here. So I've test fit most of them, and they should be pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly try to get these glued in, and hopefully they'll all be upright without too much issue. Okay, so we're done with the cement, and it says it takes 2 hours to dry, but some of these are already pretty firm. It's not perfect. It's probably going to take a little bit of manipulation to get in the slots, but we'll figure it out. There's no easy way to do this, I don't think. So, the cement says it can take up to 2 hours to dry. So, I'm just using this Tester's plastic cement, which I think is basically the same as Plastistruck, where it sort of melts it a little bit. But the hobby shop didn't have, they were out at the time when I needed the good stuff. So, okay, well that's one of those, and just very carefully goes in. That'll look cool when it's done. Okay, I'm gonna take this out and just set it aside to dry. Stop fussing with it. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do one row of these. Let's see how it goes, and then possibly just finish up doing them, and then call it a wrap for this video. Okay, so I got the first track supports in, the first platform done. I think that's gonna be a wrap for this week, and I will finish up all this so that next week it's ready to go and we can start talking about lighting and wiring. We'll put the track in, and go from there. Awesome. See you next time.